everyone, I'm Diane and welcome back to my series of videos on learning how to paint in watercolour. Today I'm going to show you my personal choice of watercolour brushes and explain why I chose them and why I recommend them for a starter in watercolour painting. So if I had to restrict myself to one type of brush for watercolour painting, I have to say it would be the synthetic round. Because I think most things that you need to do, you can do with these brushes, even if sometimes other brushes would be more convenient, perhaps. But so I have a selection of sizes here, going from 0, which is a tiny brush which you use occasionally for the eye or a detail like that on a very small thing like a tiny bird. And then I've got a selection of sizes going upwards from there. I didn't bother about the 1, 2, 3 or 4 because I don't paint very, very small. So my next one up from the tiny detail brush is a 5. Then I've got a 7, a 9, 11 and 14. And those are pretty good workhorses. They will do all the shapes that you need for leaves and flowers and people, everything, absolutely everything you can do with those brushes. And there are lots of different makes which are good. I happen to use this particular not very expensive Japanese brush made by a company called Drawwell, but over the years I have used ProArt, Da Vinci, Dela, Winsor and Newton Sepia, here's another ProArt, and various other makes as well, all of which are pretty good. But I have to admit that over the years it has transpired that synthetic brushes have improved. So while I still have my old ones, and I know that nowadays the new versions of these are much better, and I'm just thinking at the moment about investing in a couple of new large round brushes, and I'm not sure which brand to go for. I might very well go for ProArt, or of course there are very good American ones as well. This one, for example, is a White Sable Goliath by Robert Simmons, which has seen better days, but it's a great brush. So any of the good names I would recommend, really. I don't think there's much to choose between them, to be honest, as long as they're a good quality brush. It's a matter of what takes your fancy and what you can lay your hands on, because when you look on the catalogues at the moment, quite a lot of the time things are out of stock. So yeah, we haven't got quite as much choice as we used to have. Now another brush that I use quite often is this mop brush, which this one is a ProArt. It's a large mop. They're quite expensive. This is, I think, synthetic sable. Don't really remember. I use this for backgrounds and skies. And although I could do my backgrounds and skies with this one or with this one, this holds a lot of water and is very good if you want a really loose effect or if you want to cover a lot of paper quickly. So, but on the other hand, it does use quite a lot of paint. You know, you can imagine when that's full of water and paint, it takes up quite a lot. But yes, so that's a large mop. An alternative to that is the Hake or Hake brush, which is made by ProArt also. Ron Ranson Hake, this one's seen better days. It's falling to pieces. I need to replace that. But you can get cheaper ones and they're easily bought on Amazon. They're not expensive at all, and they will cover also a lot of space like this. They're less expensive and they do the same job, really. So there's that. And then another thing which is really nice to have, but not essential, is these squirrel brushes made by Isabey. They're also made by other companies. They have a very soft head, very, very soft. And when it's wet, they flop all over the place. Sort of an interesting kind of brush. I use that occasionally if I'm feeling as if I want to be really loose. It has a similar kind of function to this though, so you probably wouldn't, well, you wouldn't need both. But they come in different sizes. That one is a 10, this one, I don't know if that's about a 6, and then you can get these tiny little ones here as well. I think they're meant for Japanese or Chinese calligraphic type painting, really. What else? Then we have flat brushes, like this one. This is Gold Sable by who? I don't know. It says Japan on it. It's a flat brush for doing graduated washes, skies and things like that if you want an even coverage. There's another one here by Daler. Daylon brush. And here's another one, another Japanese brush. I think we could probably say that the Japanese have got this all under control. It says Gold Sable. I'm not quite sure what make that is, but that one's an angled flat brush, useful for doing lines and buildings and things that are more constructed. I don't tend to do a lot of that, so I don't use that kind of brush very often. But the one that I do use quite often, which I like, is this. This one is made in France. It's a sword liner, has a very fine point and a very angled, I don't know if you can see that, an angled shape to it there. And I use that for making lines, very fine calligraphic lines on the paintings, and also for dipping in the water and flicking to make spatter. So that one I use a lot, although it's a specialist kind of brush. And then of course the other thing I use a lot, which everyone has, is an old toothbrush, which is absolutely invaluable for doing spatter with. So just to summarise then, for anyone who is just starting out and hasn't yet chosen what brushes they're going to use for their watercolour journey, if I were to recommend to you the ideal combination, I would say you first of all need one of these brushes here, something like this. In other words, either a large flat synthetic of this type. This is about an inch and a half, inch and a quarter flat, or a hake brush like the Ron Ranson hake, or if you feel like splashing out literally, a nice big mop brush, which is the best of all, I think, although some people swear by the flat brush for skies and backgrounds and things like that, but personally my recommendation would be this one or this one. And then as well as that, you need, in my opinion, 3 round brushes, and I would go for a 14, a 7 and a 0 or a 1, probably a 1 like this one. And that will give you a range of brushes suitable for painting flowers and animals and people and landscapes and everything really. So those 3, and then you need either a sword liner like that or else a rigger, which is a similar thing. It has a much longer brush head than the normal one, like that. It's longer, some of them are longer than that still, and that's also for fine lines. So that's what you need to get started. So it's not very expensive, and you can get sets suitable for beginning at a special price because they're being sold as sets. I will put some links, I have already put some links, both on my website and in the description below all of my videos, to various different recommended kit that I think would be a good place to start for you. So that's that really. Another time we'll look at how to actually use these brushes, but for now I think that's all I have to say about brushes. So I'll say thank you for being with me, and I'll see you again soon. So bye for now everybody, bye bye.